Welcome to Island Health VIP, Care for Maui, with your hosts Jeff and Josette. We care for the island, we care for the people, and promote that care to foster a worldwide community of cultural consciousness and tolerance. We discuss mental health as well as local and cultural topics.
Aloha, everyone, and aloha for Josette Sullins, our CEO from Phoenix, Arizona, live on the air. And today we have Amber Drake, a local person with NAMI and Teen YouthLine that we're excited to be discussing all those projects with. So aloha, Amber, welcome to the show.
Aloha, thanks for having me.
Yes. So Amber, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you come to Maui? Are you native? What kind of background do you have that you're working for NAMI and the Youth Line?
Yeah, so I've lived on Maui for about 10 years. I have a long family history on the islands. I think it was my great grandmother that came in the 50s, and our family's been on Oahu and Maui ever since. So I came from Utah before I was in Maui. And I did a lot of work with NAMI in Utah. And then when I came to Maui, I wanted to continue that work because it was really meaningful for me and the community to be involved with it. So I want to continue that. So when I moved here, NAMI Hawaii was very small. They only had an office in Honolulu. They were open maybe 2 or 3 times a week. So they'd had limited resources. But since I've been involved, it's been really cool to see NAMI Hawaii grow. We're a lot bigger now. We've got a lot more staff and a lot more programs that we're able to do. We've got a lot more funding, so we're able to get a lot more resources out to the community. So I am a part of the NAMI State Board of Directors. So I've been on the board. I think it's been about 3.5 years now. They just renewed my term for another 3 years. So that'll be really cool to continue being involved with them. And I'm also the NAMI Maui affiliate leader. So I oversee all the NAMI programs on Maui. We still have a small amount of volunteers, so we're still looking for more volunteers that want to be involved in helping out with our walk that we do every year, and to bring more of our programs to have in-person stuff on Maui, because we do have a lot of online options with other islands as well. But I can talk about that a little bit more.
Well, you've said a lot. I'm like, oh my gosh, this sounds exciting. I have a few questions for you. What is NAMI?
So NAMI is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization. It's been around, I think it started it in 1978 over, I think on the East Coast. There was just a bunch of families that were having a really difficult time navigating the mental health system, and they're kind of getting frustrated, like not knowing where to turn. So they kind of started forming these groups to support each other through their own lived experience, and navigating those things and supporting their family members that had mental health conditions. So it's grown a lot since then. There's affiliates across the nation. I think there's probably around 500 different affiliates around the America. Like each state has their own state organization, and then each state has like separate affiliates within there. So like Hawaii has Oahu, Kauai, Big Island, and Maui as affiliates. So it's a huge organization that does a lot of like amazing work. So an affiliate is just like a smaller organization within the larger organization. So it is a nonprofit. So it's a 501c3. So each state has because a lot of states are big, so it's like makes more sense to have more local people like addressing certain local problems within their area, so that they cut it up into affiliates. Like in California, for example, it's a huge state, so like having just one NAMI organization would kind of be not as effective as unless they like break it up into sections so that it could be more localized to the communities that they serve.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think it's such a smart model. Is it like peer to peer? Is it more peer support, or is it a lot of licensed professionals as well? Because it sounds like it started out very peer and family oriented.
So it is more of a peer-led organization. So all the volunteers that facilitate groups or do psychoeducation, they all are people who have lived experience, whether it be lived experience with a mental health condition or lived experience supporting a family member that has a mental health condition. Um, Granted, there are a lot of mental health professionals that also have mental health conditions or support family members, so there are like some professionals in the space, but it's more focused on peer support or family support, but they do counsel professionals and bring in evidence-based things for the signature programs that they offer the community. So they have like, viable, accurate information that they're teaching the community with, they're doing psychoeducation and whatnot. So like, but the peer element is the big important part of NAMI and why it can be really powerful, to like get help and hear experiences from people that have been there.
Island Health, Care for Maui, will be back after these messages from our sponsors.
At Island Health, healing is more than care. It's connection. From therapy to retreat, we guide you back to balance, rooted in nature and community. Come home to yourself. Call us at 808-336-2611 or visit us online at islandhealth.vip.
Wellness is more than what's covered by healthcare. It's the warmth of a safe place to sleep, the comfort of a meal that nourishes, the peace of knowing you're not alone. At Renew Well, we help people find wellness in the spaces traditional care can't reach, providing support for nutrition, fitness, housing, and the simple human needs that restore dignity and hope. Because healing doesn't end when the treatment does. It continues in the kitchen, the home, the community, anywhere someone is rebuilding their life and learning how to live again. Together, we're closing the gap between health and healing. Visit renewwellinc.org to learn how you can help restore balance and restore lives. Renew Well, because wellness is more than treatment. It's the foundation to thrive. To learn more, find us at renewwellinc.org.
Welcome back to Island Health, Care for Maui.
That's so amazing because in our field, it kind of seems like, oh, peers are new, but to hear that this is a peer base since the 70s it's kind of mind blowing right now. I'm like, this is amazing. So, is there different like areas, kind of like mental health, like trauma or substance abuse, or sometimes we separate out veterans or Department of Corrections. Is it like that too? So you'd have peers in each category, or is it just generalized?
So that's a good question. We do, like, for example, we have our regular NAMI Connection support group, which is a group for peers that identify with a mental health condition. So that could be anything. Could be substance use disorder, could be bipolar, could be schizophrenia. We don't have like groups specific to certain specific mental health conditions. So our groups are separated just from like peer support or family support, or like psychoeducation for peers or psychoeducation for families. But we also have groups that are specific for veterans, like our NAMI Homefront program. So it's a support group for people that might struggle with mental health that are veterans or family members of military individuals. So it's more separated that way rather than like specific mental health issues that people might be experiencing. But we do have specific like psychoeducation classes that we are more specific to certain things. Like I've done presentations on just general self-care for helping professionals, or just a general brief overview of mental health There's a program called NAMI Family and Friends, where we just kind of get family and friends talking about mental health and just kind of educating them on what certain mental health conditions might look like and kind of where to go for support for those things. And we also have some youth programs too. There's one called Ending the Silence, where we have a youth with some sort of lived experience, and have them paired with a young adult to do a presentation in the school about the importance of sharing our stories and being more open about mental health to break down the stigma surrounding it. So there's a
That is
ton of different programs, but it's really cool, and it's like really can be really profound for a lot of people.
it sounds it. Go ahead, Jeff.
All those programs on Maui?
So, not all of them. Like on Maui, I have the in-person connection support group. And then since I'm one of the only facilitators right now, because some of our facilitators had to step away for personal reasons, I'm just trying to find more volunteers. So I partner with other people on other islands. So we do some online groups with other islands. And then the NAMI Homefront program is on Oahu, but they do have in-person and online support. The Ending the Silence program is being done on Oahu and Big Island, and they have come to Maui to teach that as well. It's just been a little difficult when I have limited volunteers. I've been trying to find more. But each island does have their own NAMI walk. Even Lanai and Molokai had their first walks last year, so that was pretty cool. So they had a walk going on every island. But there are a lot of programs that we don't have quite yet in Hawaii that the mainland has. But we have a lot more now than when I first started working with NAMI Hawaii. So there's
Well,
some
I have
other
a question for
psychoeducation
you.
things that we offer. Yeah.
Island Health, Care for Maui, will be back after these messages from our sponsors.
Wellness is more than what's covered by healthcare. It's the warmth of a safe place to sleep, the comfort of a meal that nourishes, the peace of knowing you're not alone. At Renew Well, we help people find wellness in the spaces traditional care can't reach, providing support for nutrition, fitness, housing, and the simple human needs that restore dignity and hope. Because healing doesn't end when the treatment does. It continues in the kitchen, the home, the community, anywhere someone is rebuilding their life and learning how to live again. Together, we're closing the gap between health and healing. Visit renewwellinc.org to learn how you can help restore balance and restore lives. Renew Well, because wellness is more than treatment. It's the foundation to thrive. To learn more, find us at renewwellinc.org.
At Island Health, healing is more than care. It's connection. From therapy to retreat, we guide you back to balance, rooted in nature and community. Come home to yourself. Call us at 808-336-2611 or visit us online at islandhealth.vip.
Welcome back to Island Health, Care for Maui.
So we just did our first run and it was so fun. It was a walk, run, or roll, and it was a 5K, and it was great. So when you guys are doing the NAMI walk, is it simultaneously on different islands, or is it like Molokai doing their walk one day and Oahu's doing their walk another day? How does that work out?
So it's actually all on the same day, just different locations. So this year it's on October 10th. So every island's doing something on October 10th.
That's fantastic. As I hear you talk, what we're doing here in Arizona is kind of something similar. We're doing a training program, for peers, but like we're calling it a community care worker. And I never even could imagine that NAMI was all about peers like this. Do you guys train them there? And like, how long is the training and what's all involved in that?
So, say if someone wanted to be a facilitator for a peer support group, we do have peer trainings online because a lot of times we partner with the other islands so that we all kind of get everyone trained. Sometimes we might not have enough, so we might piggyback on a training in another state because it's all the same training for the same type of group for that. But we also, NAMI's also an advocacy organization. So like there's in different states, they don't call it different things, but I know here we call it the Certified Peer Support Specialist certification that people can get but we're not like a part of training them, but we help them with like placement once they get their certification, and we can provide them with some opportunities to utilize their skills and to provide them support for themselves while they do the work in the community.
That is just so amazing. And here we're working to put together this program, and I thought it was kind of so innovative and new, and just to hear that you guys have been doing that. I wonder, is there a NAMI affiliate here in Arizona that you're aware of?
There should be. I'm pretty positive there is. Yeah. I think every state
Yes,
has
absolutely.
one at least.
Well, this is exciting. Maybe we can, see how to partner even on that front as well. I know we've been talking about, doing some things in Maui Nui and, really all of Hawaii because, like you were just saying, it's just so shorthanded,
Yeah.
everywhere. I mean, we need more here. So, well, that is exciting. I had a little question. So when you moved over to Maui, were you going back and forth to Honolulu, or how were you working with NAMI?
Yeah, so at first they didn't have much for me to do because they didn't have like very much resources themselves. So I one of the NAMI Hawaii's partners is Mental Health of America of Hawaii. And so I did some volunteer work with them and where I got trained to be a youth mental health first aid instructor. So I've been teaching youth mental health first aid for I want to say 7 years now with them. Um, and then I would do some like outreach with them if they had an opportunity to. Like my aunt lives on Oahu, so sometimes I'd go over there and do some things with them.
Hi.
But then I think it was in when I was starting school, they found someone on Maui to like do more on Maui, so I started volunteering with them. I think it was around 2018. But I didn't take on a leadership role at that point quite yet. I was just trying to get it more involved, and I was pretty busy with my undergrad at the time. And then when the fire happened, that's when I took more of a leadership role. A couple months after the fire, where I became the affiliate leader and started doing some support groups for fire survivors because typically NAMI has to approve a group, but we kind of created a group because there was a huge need, and it was structured the same way as our connections group, but we just changed some wording a little bit to match more the context of people getting support for the fires. So we started doing that, and then we just continued to grow, and the NAMI Hawaii got a big donation. And so we were able to expand a little bit more, create more of a strategic plan to try to grow all of our affiliates across the state to just do more for the community since our community really needs more support after what happened.
That's so
So
beautiful. I love this story. Well, go ahead, Jeff.
are you involved with the clubhouse here on Maui?
I'm not. I would love to be. Like they've just been kind of hard to get a hold of sometimes. But yeah, I'd like to be more involved with them in the future.
And what about the cafe? Is that anything you do anything with?
I do not. I'd like to. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get NAMI more involved in things, and getting more people involved in it too to help me out.
Island Health, Care for Maui, will be back after these messages from our sponsors.
At Island Health, healing is more than care. It's connection. From therapy to retreat, we guide you back to balance, rooted in nature and community. Come home to yourself. Call us at 808-336-2611 or visit us online at islandhealth.vip.
Wellness is more than what's covered by healthcare. It's the warmth of a safe place to sleep, the comfort of a meal that nourishes, the peace of knowing you're not alone. At Renew Well, we help people find wellness in the spaces traditional care can't reach, providing support for nutrition, fitness, housing, and the simple human needs that restore dignity and hope. Because healing doesn't end when the treatment does. It continues in the kitchen, the home, the community, anywhere someone is rebuilding their life and learning how to live again. Together, we're closing the gap between health and healing. Visit renewwellinc.org to learn how you can help restore balance and restore lives. Renew Well, because wellness is more than treatment. It's the foundation to thrive. To learn more, find us at renewwellinc.org.
Welcome back to Island Health, Care for Maui.
So what is your background that you came to work in the mental health field?
So I have personal experience of mental health conditions. That's why I sought out support through NAMI first when I was not having a great time in my late teens, early 20s. And then because it was such a really special experience for me, I started volunteering and trying to give back to the programs that helped me so much. And I have a lot of family members who have mental health conditions as well, like some serious mental health conditions. So I can wear both the peer and the family hat in the NAMI world. But then, as I learned more and been doing more work in the peer space, I wanted to kind of go more in the clinical space. It's been a long journey from one side of the couch to the other, in the sense where I went to school and got my bachelor's in psychology, and then I went to Hilo and got my master's in clinical mental health counseling. So I've done a lot of my own personal work, and I know how powerful the therapeutic process can be. So that's why I kind of went more in the clinical direction as well. But the peer piece is still really a powerful part of anybody's journey when they're dealing with mental health, like connecting with other people. So that's why I still wear both hats, like the NAMI hat, and then trying to grow into my more clinical role as well.
I love the fact that you started off, needing services as a youth and then getting involved and moving forward, because we need more spokespeople like you, because the younger population is just really, really at ends. And
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you this, but it's kind of telling our listeners if they're not aware. I mean, suicides and drug abuse and, self-harm, it's just so rampant out there, and it's scary. And
Yeah.
just the thought to think of, you reaching out and helping and, creating peer programs that, there's nothing like getting involved. And you really get so much healing, because sometimes people can't allow their own self to really heal, but can heal by helping other people. And then before you know it, then it's easy. Everybody gets to
Exactly.
heal.
Yeah, it's definitely a process. It's not linear, but as long as you keep going and keep trying to help yourself and help others in the process. Yeah.
So great.
Island Health, Care for Maui will be back after these messages from our sponsors.
Wellness is more than what's covered by healthcare. It's the warmth of a safe place to sleep, the comfort of a meal that nourishes, the peace of knowing you're not alone. At Renew Well, we help people find wellness in the spaces traditional care can't reach, providing support for nutrition, fitness, housing, and the simple human needs that restore dignity and hope. Because healing doesn't end when the treatment does. It continues in the kitchen, the home, the community, anywhere someone is rebuilding their life and learning how to live again. Together, we're closing the gap between health and healing. Visit renewwellinc.org to learn how you can help restore balance and restore lives. Renew Well, because wellness is more than treatment. It's the foundation to thrive. To learn more, find us at renewwellinc.org.
Welcome back to Island Health, Care for Maui.
So let's find out more about YouthLine also. You work with YouthLine also. What is your
Yeah.
position there?
Yeah, so I'm the clinical and youth development supervisor with YouthLine Hawaii. I started at the end of December, so it's been a new thing for me. I didn't really know much about it before I applied, but I had a friend that told me about the opportunity because YouthLine has been around for 25 years on the mainland, on Portland. But then they wanted to extend their hours and extend the services to Hawaii. So we opened the first call center outside of Oregon in January. And it's a really cool program where it's also a peer-to-peer system where we have youth answering the line. So it's a crisis/help hotline that people can call, text, or chat us through. And then they can talk to an actual youth. So all of our volunteers that answer are 15 to 24. So sometimes it's hard to talk to an adult for kids. So it's kind of intimidating, or they want to talk to someone they feel like they can relate to a little bit better. So it's really neat to be able to have the opportunity to talk to a peer. But all of our volunteers go through a ton of training, like 48 hours worth of training, to feel more prepared on how to handle certain situations, whether it be crisis situations or non-crisis situations. So we do teach them youth mental health first aid. There's also a suicide prevention training we have them do called Safe Talk, which you might have heard of. And then we do a lot of active listening skills and self-care, communication. But then all of their calls and texts are monitored by me. So I kind of monitor things to make sure they're okay, and that if it's a higher acuity situation, I would step in to get that person in-person support. And we are mandated reporters as well. So if something were to be reported on the lines of abuse, I would have to report that. And we are really transparent with anyone that contacts us of what we're doing and why we need to do those things and offering the support. And then our youth get a lot of opportunities to be more involved in the community as well. We're taking a couple of them to DC this summer to participate in this. I'm not sure which conference it is, but there's a couple of conferences over there where they get to sit on a youth panel and share their voice about mental health. They did go to Oahu in January and got to sit on a youth panel at this, I think it was called the State of Reform event, where they got to talk to state legislatures about, YouthLine and mental health. So it's not just youth helping youth, it's also developing these skills and learning more about themselves and how they can help their communities and be better prepared to go out in the world and be amazing human beings and help others. So our volunteers are really incredible kids that do a lot of amazing work.
Yes, I was at the state reform. How funny.
Oh, cool.
They had so many Yeah, they had so many breakout sessions, so I wasn't aware of that one. I wish I would have. It was hard because there were so many things you wanted to take, but I will
Yeah.
definitely look for that for next year. Just a couple things. That's a lot for the youth to go through, and even though you said
Yes.
48 hours, that's how do you guys monitor them as well to make sure that they don't take on trauma vicariously, or how does that
Yes.
work?
Yeah, so we do like an intensive interview process just to see what their history's like, if they feel like they're ready for this type of work. And I check in with each volunteer every month at the least. Like usually we check in before and at the end of every shift. And every volunteer only works one shift a week, which is 3.5 hours. And if there's ever any situation that's too much for them, they don't have to take it on. They just let me know. I can either pass it on to another volunteer that feels like they can do it, or I just take it myself. Because we want our volunteers are our number one priority. We want to make sure they're okay. And sometimes, and when I check in with them, they're having a hard time, and it's okay for them to take a break. And we want to make sure that they are able to get the support they need as well. So we just we always check in with them and make sure that they're okay, and they have a trusted adult in their life they can reach out to if they need. And
Good.
they talk a lot amongst themselves too. Like there's confidentiality. They can't talk about specifics, out with their friends at school, but they like things that happen in YouthLine stay within YouthLine. So if they're with their peers and they need to talk about something with their peers, they can, and they do it in a supportive environment.
How many calls do you get a night or a shift?
So it really depends. Like there's been times where we've had 40 people contact us in the 3.5 hours, and there's been times we've only had like 6. So it really depends. But most of the time we get texts and chats. We get a lot less calls, but we still get calls. But I think kids nowadays like to communicate via text, so it's just seems more like intuitive for them to do that. I think
Well, that's a
every
different.
year YouthLine takes 25,000 contacts a year total. So we get a lot.
And is
Well,
that just
texting is
Maui, or is that the all of Hawaii, or is that just in general across the
That,
nation?
that's in general across the board, the nation, because
Okay.
even our youth in Hawaii that take contacts, they might speak to someone that's on the mainland, but we've been getting a lot more people from Hawaii contact us as we've been doing more outreach, just making sure people know that it's a resource available for people in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Island Health, Care for Maui, will be back after these messages from our sponsors.
Wellness is more than what's covered by healthcare. It's the warmth of a safe place to sleep, the comfort of a meal that nourishes, the peace of knowing you're not alone. At Renew Well, we help people find wellness in the spaces traditional care can't reach, providing support for nutrition, fitness, housing, and the simple human needs that restore dignity and hope. Because healing doesn't end when the treatment does. It continues in the kitchen, the home, the community, anywhere someone is rebuilding their life and learning how to live again. Together, we're closing the gap between health and healing. Visit renewwellinc.org to learn how you can help restore balance and restore lives. Renew Well, because wellness is more than treatment. It's the foundation to thrive. To learn more, find us at renewwellinc.org.
At Island Health, healing is more than care. It's connection. From therapy to retreat, we guide you back to balance, rooted in nature and community. Come home to yourself. Call us at 808-336-2611 or visit us online at islandhealth.vip.
Welcome back to Island Health, Care for Maui.
So Portland people take some of your calls sometimes, is that correct?
Yes, yes. So they're in Portland, they're open 4 to 10 Pacific Standard Time. So in Hawaii, that would be 1 to 7. But then when we're taking contacts on Sundays and Wednesday nights, so that extends those hours till 10. So as we grow and we get more volunteers, then we'll be open more nights of the week. So long-term goal would be to have those hours from 1 to 10 Hawaii Standard Time every day of the week. But we're not quite there yet.
So
Well,
going back to the fact you take phone calls and texts, to me that seems like a kind of different animal when people are in crisis. So how do you, I mean, I've taken calls from people in crisis, but not really texts. So how do you handle that? How do you resolve a crisis on a text?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. But we ask a lot of questions. We have like some safety assessments that we have our volunteers do, or I can do, just to see if they are, say if they're thinking of suicide, if they have a plan, or if they know when they want to do it, and or how they would do it, and if they have a trusted adult, or if they're willing to talk to somebody about it, or if they're willing to step away from the means. So there's a lot of that we go through in our Safe Talk training. And I've done a lot of suicide prevention trainings as well, like the assist training or applied suicide skilled interventions training. But it is hard on text because like you don't get that, like you don't hear the tone of their voice. You kind of have to wait for them to respond. So we have YouthLine has certain policies, like if they are under 13, like we have to make sure we contact some sort of trusted adult, or we try to get as much information as we can. But sometimes like especially with the chat option, that can be a little tricky because all we have is their IP address. Sometimes they're not able to give us the information, and sometimes they use a VPN, so the IP address location might not be accurate. So like if it's a higher acuity situation, we try to just get as much information as we can, and we try to work with the youth that's contacting us so that it's more of a collaborative experience rather than us telling them what we're going to be doing and that they're in trouble and that we're sending the police, or because we contact the police kind of as the last resort. We want to try to get them help, because a lot of times that can be really traumatic for them to be able to have to deal with that. So we work on a lot of things collaboratively with the person and try to do our best to get as much information, and just try to be patient. And we have a clinical team. I'm not all by myself making all the decisions all by myself. Like I have people I can collaborate with, or we can kind of come up with an idea of what we should do. Because maybe someone is 10 years old and is thinking of suicide and it's not responding to us. And like, what do we do in that situation? So we have to we consult with each other, and sometimes we do end up having to contact EMS if in a situation like that. If they had access to me and then they're only 10 and aren't responding to us. So,
Well,
yeah.
that's exactly the question I was going to ask. What do you do? But how do they have to give you their address, or how do you know where they are?
They don't have to give us their address. Like we would like to, it'd be nice, but like at the beginning of every call, we ask for their name, their age, and their zip code. So zip code kind of gives us an idea of like, if we do have to contact the police, like we can know which department to call. And then if it does, a lot of times when we do have to send in-person support, we get the person's consent. Like, are you okay with us sending in-person support? So we want to make sure you're safe. And then they, would give us their information. But sometimes we don't get that. They're not providing that information. So we just try to gather as much as we can. And then it would be up to the police officers or the crisis intervention team to decide what they want to do with that information. But 98% of the time, we're able to de-escalate and not have to contact EMS at all. So it's very rare we have to do that.
That is so wonderful to hear that, Amber, that 98%. My heart was just hurting so bad to think of a poor 10-year-old that, thinks that there's no hope and that they're in such dire straits that they, would like to take their own life. What valuable work that you guys do. Um, and I'm glad, like Jeff, when you were talking about text, I've texted, on our business line with different clients, and it works out really nicely. But, they're already a client. We already have that rapport and stuff like that. And so, sometimes it's easier to sometimes tell you things on a text than actually speak it out. It's a nice release for a lot of individuals, especially if, some of the options are self-harm, being able to do something and get some of that out in a text, can be great. So, bravo to all of the work that you're doing. And it makes me super happy to think that we have these affiliates all over the nation doing the same thing. Do you guys ever have like the come together conference and all of that?
Yeah, so we have our NAMI state conference that we do. We just had it in April. We had a keynote speaker come in. That was actually our mental health summit that we were doing, because we've been doing mental health summits on every island, and then we had a larger state conference in Oahu. So we continued that conversation that we had at the summit about reimagining crisis response, and then we had a guest speaker he had as a YouTube channel that's an advocate for blog or advocate, and he just shares his own experience with schizophrenia and how long-acting injectables has helped him. So like every conference we have is something different. But there's also a NAMI national convention, which I will be going to at the end of the month. They're holding it in Georgia this year. So I've never been to Georgia, so we'll see how that goes. But I went to the national convention before, but it's really fun. Get in contact with everyone all over the U.S. and that are doing the same work. And so, yeah.
Island Health, Care for Maui, will be back after these messages from our sponsors.
Wellness is more than what's covered by healthcare. It's the warmth of a safe place to sleep, the comfort of a meal that nourishes, the peace of knowing you're not alone. At Renew Well, we help people find wellness in the spaces traditional care can't reach, providing support for nutrition, fitness, housing, and the simple human needs that restore dignity and hope. Because healing doesn't end when the treatment does. It continues in the kitchen, the home, the community, anywhere someone is rebuilding their life and learning how to live again. Together, we're closing the gap between health and healing. Visit renewwellinc.org to learn how you can help restore balance and restore lives. Renew Well, because wellness is more than treatment. It's the foundation to thrive. To learn more, find us at renewwellinc.org.
At Island Health, healing is more than care. It's connection. From therapy to retreat, we guide you back to balance, rooted in nature and community. Come home to yourself. Call us at 808-336-2611 or visit us online at islandhealth.vip.
Welcome back to Island Health, Care for Maui.
Well, we'll definitely have to look into how we can partner and support and do all of that. And then also too, when I'll be coming back to Maui in June and then staying, quite some time. So I'd love to meet up with you in person. And then I'll definitely, contact you, in the near future to talk about other opportunities. But what a fantastic thing that you're doing, Amber. When will you get your independent license in Hawaii?
Oh yeah, so it's gonna be a while. I have to get 3,000 hours of clinical hours. I have about 400 or so far with YouthLine. So I'm hoping in the next couple of years I'll get all those hours done, and then be licensed. Might be 2 or 3 years or so.
That's okay. It's wonderful. I just wondered where you were on your journey. But it sounds like you have just done so much. We're so lucky to have you, in this field, especially a field that it doesn't attract a lot of people anymore. How
Yeah.
is it for you with volunteers? Is it harder to get volunteers now? And if so, why?
It's been difficult to get volunteers for NAMI just because I think a lot of people are trying to do a lot of different things. Like the people that are passionate about helping are helping in a lot of different ways, kind of like me, where, um,
Sure.
kind of maybe stretched a little thin or just are really busy. Because expensive living in Hawaii is pretty high, and so a lot of people are working
Yeah.
multiple jobs or juggling family responsibilities and things. So it's been a little hard finding volunteers that have the time. Like there's people that are interested in volunteering all the time, or they just don't have the capacity. Or like we're just trying to get more of the word out because some people just don't know it's an opportunity. So we're working on doing more outreach. And with YouthLine in particular, we work on trying to get more volunteers as well. We're gearing up for a new training for a new cohort at the beginning of June. So that's what I was doing before this was going to a high school where we present about what YouthLine is and what the volunteer opportunities are. So I know there's a lot of senior projects people have that they can use, YouthLine as part of that, or community service hours.
Brilliant.
So we've been trying a lot of different things. It's just a matter of finding people that have the time to be able to do it. There's a desire. It's just finding the time and balancing that can be a little tricky.
It sounds it. Well, at least you know that you have a nice pool to pull from. So that's good. Well, is there anything else, Amber, that you would like to share with our viewers and listeners?
Um, that it's okay to reach out and there is help, even though they might not know where to go. There is a lot of help out there, like whether it be through peers or family members that might have a similar experience. But, there's also professionals too that are here to help as well. So there's a lot of different options. You just have to reach out and find that. And it's okay to ask for help.
Well, let's get some contact information for you. If somebody wants to talk to you at NAMI or volunteer, how do they contact you?
Yeah, so they can contact me via email. It's probably the best. Just my email is amber@namihawaii.org. And I can connect you to any resources that you might need, or if you wanted to talk to me about volunteering or just about mental health in general, like I'm an open book. So I'm always happy to talk story
And,
about anything in that regard.
and at YouthLine, if they want to volunteer there, how do they contact you there?
So my YouthLine information, it's a similar email, but it's just Amber and then D as in David at linesforlife.org. So that's my work email for YouthLine.
Well, we would love to have you back anytime. Thank you so much, Amber, for all of the
Yeah, thanks.
valuable work that you're doing in the community. And if there's anything we can do for you, let us know. And I would love to be part of the run on 1010 or the walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you can run
yeah.
if you want.
Yeah. I'll try. Walking's kind of more my jam.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll have
Well,
some live music
wanna
there
say-
too, so it'll be fun.
Yes.
We'd like to say thank you to Amber Drake from NAMI Maui and also from YouthLine Maui. Got a lot of hats on you, so appreciate you spending the time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So aloha.
Aloha, everyone.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Island Health VIP Care for Maui. You can learn more at islandhealth.vip. If you would like to be a guest on the show, call Jeff at 808-336-2611. We are located in Kihei at the Rainbow Mall that is at 2439 South Kihei Road, Kihei, Hawaii, 96753. We air each show every Monday at 11 a.m. on KAOI, and you can find us on Instagram at island.health.